Cedric has two dreams: to star in a movie and make his father proud. Today he gets his chance. The producer of the movie gives him a chance to be in the role of Batman. Cedric wonders if their title is confusing, which is a lot like Batman, but they are different. Batman will be without the cape, as his enemy will be Alain Belmont. Cedric admits that he only went into the movie industry because of him, but the producer tells him that Alain is so fucked up that he even retired from acting and rents out his mansion to them. Cedric will be tried for the role of the main character for two reasons. 1. All the famous actors have refused, and 2. He is perfect for the role. A typical loser, but as soon as he puts on the suit he immediately acquires strength and masculinity. And while the producer is talking about the benefits of the character, a commercial for Smolex condoms, starring Cedric, comes on behind him. He wants to distract her with a poster of a movie she was a producer on, but his advertisement appears there with the words "King of the Little Guns." At home, he's with Adam and Seb discussing today's casting and how he hasn't cleaned up his family status with his girlfriend on Facebook, but Eleanor, Cedric's sister, comes in. She's mad that Seb left a stain on her couch. Okay, she's kidding. It's Cedric's blood. He drank her yogurt and got punched in the face for it. Adam ordered a pizza, €13 each from the guys, but Cedric asks to borrow until the end of the month, but his sister reminds him that it's the 30th. Turns out Cedric works in delivery and has to go get the pizza he ordered, and the guys won't leave him a tip and write him a bad review for asking for a loan of money. On the street, the girl steals her grandfather's bag, but Cedric does not catch her, for which she receives blows from her grandfather with a cane. He is going to hide from him behind the fence, but at the top, the grandfather grabs him by the jeans and they slip down along with his underpants, and he falls into the kindergarten. The children start screaming, and the educators call the police. And now Cedric is at the police station, where the officer reads the sentence to him and calls him a turkey, and Cedric asks his father not to call him that anymore. He doesn't have a second chin. On his way out, he promises his father that he will be proud of him, but people from the hallway immediately recognize him as the king of the little guns. At home, Adam shows the new teeth to Seb's mother, whom he is dating. She asks him not to tell Seb that she paid for them with his money, and Adam tells her that in Seb's phone he changed his name to Eleanor, and he thinks he's texting her, so he wants to evict him. It's no longer possible for the three of us to live together. Seb writes that he feels bad for Cedric, and for Adam dating his mom. He peed in his orange juice. In the audience, Cedric discusses with Seb that it's time for him to quit his job as a pill taster. He gets a call from Batman's producer telling him that they are taking him because the other actor happens to have the charisma of a tree. Adam has already run for Champagne. She promises he'll be a star and calls him Ludovic. He says it's Cedric and she asks him to wait. She'll call back. Ludovic gets a call from the producer saying that he is suitable for the role of Batman. For joy he sticks out of the convertible and meets the pole in the face. He is deceased. Cedric gets another call from the producer. She jokes, the role being his after all, and he rejoices with the guys. He dances on the stairs and then trains in the hall for a future role. When he achieves an athletic physique, he is already ready to perform stunts. On the set, he calls his sister and tells her that they are shooting Mission Impossible with Tom Cruise in the next hangar. He even shows a girl who will be his wife, but Eleanor says the movie will be a fantasy movie because such a girl would never, ever be with him. He also shows Raymond, the butler. He says that Eleanor is like Liz Taylor. She also loved to jump on men's. Also, Cedric shows off his Batmobile. He's going to tell his father about the pre-show shoot to make him proud of his son. He is immediately called by the director and introduced by Alain Belmont, and he immediately says that Cedric has an oily face. The texts will be hard to stick to. It turns out that when Cedric's back is turned, there will be text on his face because Belmont has a bad memory and needs to see text. The producer tells the director that the product placement came. The more often the vacuum cleaner will appear in the frame, the more money they will get. The first shooting begins. The villain makes a deal with the bandit. As suddenly Batman rushes in with a car. Here is his first appearance, and he takes the bag with his technological cat hook. He tosses it up and an epic fight ensues, followed by the traditional superhero punch and a fantastic victory, after which he catches the bag. But the last enemy appears and asks to surrender. He puts his hands behind his head and presses a button on his arm and a missile flies out of the car, which flies into the mannequin and he falls. The director is not happy about it. The pyrotechnician screwed up. The rocket was supposed to explode. In the dressing room, Cedric asks his idol to sign their old photo, and Belmont crosses out his face. Eleanor writes to Cedric that Daddy was almost killed and is in Garsh Hospital. There is no way out. He takes the Batmobile and goes to his father. The pyrotechnician at the time found a fault in the remote control. He put the batteries wrong. He presses a button and the Batmobile's ass explodes, causing Cedric to skid and crash into a building. When he wakes up, he calls emergency services and asks for help, but he doesn't know his name or where he is. They ask him to wait. They are already tracking the location. He finds a mask, a bag of money, a gun and a cool car, and a dead body in the trunk. When the police see him running away, they don't understand why, and when they notice he's hit the bank they go after him. Our superhero still remembers the tricks, from which he himself is surprised. The police look for him in the woods, but he hides in a tree. There turns out to be a wasp hive. A female and a male sit on his nose and engage in intimate activities, for which he is about to put on a mask, but hangs down from a branch and sends the swarm straight to the officer's head. The policeman falls into the water, and Batman picks up the stun gun and shoots the other policeman. He also falls into the water, and the electricity that spreads all over the lake makes all its dead. In the morning, Eleanor talks to her father and he tells her that Ivan shot him and they have been trying to catch him for 10 years. But she gets a call from the producer telling her that her brother is missing and he should be back by tomorrow or he will be taken off the set because he took the stunt car. And the TV shows the news about last night's robbery. At Seb's house, he has visions of Adam getting back together with his mother over pills, and Eleanor asks for help finding Cedric before the police do. They arrive at the house where the GPS says his phone is, and Adam asks Seb how he's doing with Eleanor. Seb tells him that he and she are texting and Adam asks him to act. Eleanor is informed that Cedric is not here, and she breaks down the doors with Seb's help. Eleanor tortures the guy. She will blow a heating pad in his underpants if he keeps quiet, but he tells her that last night he found him on the road and brought him home with a whole bag of money. He says he doesn't remember anything and his father had an idea. Cedric sits looking at the pendant with the actress and the ring, thinking it's his wife. They introduce themselves as his family, and when asked about his wife, they said she had disappeared somewhere. The family set the table, but only for Cedric. They are sitting hungry themselves, because their father's factory has closed and they are now in debt. The father asks who Cedric is that they're after him, and the son answers that he's an actor. He pulls a small X out of his pocket and says he was filmed there, and the daughter says her father has the same. The last time Shinji saw him, he didn't want to sleep with her and she decided to see what he was up to. In newspaper clippings made for the movie, he found a photo of a vigilante and an escaped psychopathic clown, and on his arm was a projection watch where the butler called him Badman and told him about the structure of his costume, and next was a video of bad news. His wife and son had been kidnapped by a clown. Badman needs to be at the Chateau de Vaucresson at 8 p.m. tomorrow, or he'll make a barbecue of their family. He left a wad of money and jumped out the window. Well, almost jumped out. That's all they know. And Eleanor realizes that he thinks he's a superhero who should finish the mission. When a guy asks him to let it go, a cat jumps on his underpants and there's an explosion, and his parents say there's a nice side to the situation. This jerk won't have kids. Cedric catches a hitch by the road and is stopped by a beautiful girl who asks where he's going, and when he answers that he's going to Chateau de Vaucresson, she says straight ahead and drives off. Okay, she was kidding. They're behind the wheel discussing gender equality. She wants everyone to have 20 centimeters too. Okay, it's a joke. The girl wonders why he is going to Vaucresson. He replies that he is looking for his wife and child, and asks her if she is married. No, of course. She's had enough of her past relationships, and she says that she has already forgotten him, but then she starts crying and admits that she lied. The producer asks if the director has solved the issue of integrating the vacuum cleaner, but the guy wonders where the main character is. She reports that they have already solved the issue and calls him to the set. There turns out to be a man with a Cedric mask, and he's sitting in a car with a girl at the same time, and she's still loading him up. By the way, her name is Lore, and he introduces himself as Johnny, so he was named by the family who took him in for money. Eleanor and the boys are already racing to Vaucresson, and Seb decides it's time to make the first move, but after trying, she unbuckles him and abruptly slows him down. Adam shows how much time they have left until Vaucresson, and he gets a text message from Seb's mom, which makes him freak out again. They overtake a blue car and notice Cedric in it. They wave at him, but he doesn't understand who it is and waves back. And Seb sees his mom with an eggplant on the road, and he turns the wheel. The girl urgently needs to stop by Phantom BLO. There is a robbery. She need quickly shoot a report and they will go on their way. Lore sees special forces in masks taking out bags. When she comes to take them off, she is grabbed and dragged into the car. Badman returns. He knocks on the mugger's window and asks him to listen carefully. He will only say once, but the car is soundproofed so the mugger only looks at his opening mouth. Since he didn't get it, Badman opens the door and attacks, but gets hit. He falls down and the robber takes a blank gun and shoots Cedric. When he realizes he's in one piece, he jumps for the gun, but he gets run over and Laure tries to get out of the car, for which he gets hit in the head with the door. She is about to escape through the trapdoor, but the robber shoots the lamp and it falls right on her head. Then Laure gets out through the trunk and sits on the hydrant. The mugger gets into it and she flies away. When they drop the gun, it shoots Laure's car and it explodes. The mugger takes a stranglehold on Badman, but a wasp flies out of his suit and into the mugger's mouth, and Badman also adds sleeping gas. Cedric and Laure grab the car and drive away. It turns out Ivan robbed the bank. Laure is shocked that Johnny is Badman. She thinks he's a friend of Superman, but he doesn't remember. But he knows one thing: they should get rid of the car. Cedric's father listens to a presentation on a new prototype car that will wake up sleeping drivers, and will also trigger this machine on offenses. An officer comes in and talks about a robbery by a guy in a suit, and they'll canvass all the suit rentals and sex shops. And the director found a place to cram the vacuum cleaner commercials in while the producer watches the Badman news. They are pacing in the woods and he climbs a tree to see where they are going. She says no one would have saved her except her dog Groot. He gets mad at everyone who comes near her, but the dog didn't bark at her ex-boyfriend. Johnny comes down from the tree and asks her not to worry about him. He doesn't deserve her, and at a tragic moment they are ready to kiss, but a branch breaks and he hangs on his pants and Laure kisses him right between his legs. When he goes up they open fire and run away and bump into some kind of fair, whereas Xavier announces its opening. He asks her to hide in these balloons and blend in with the crowd, and she says how sorry he is married, at which time the bandits are already on the field. Cedric climbs behind the stage with the children, but when he breaks the board the wall falls on them. And Laure gives a pass on the field and hits Ivan, who recognizes her and tries to catch up with her. Laure hits the girl, and when she gets her face in the paint, becomes like Mystique, and out of the blue Renault Logan comes the triggered Logan from the X-Men. When his daughter forgets her backpack, he goes after her and Badman makes his way to the car. Laure tries to hide from the bandits, but she gets run over by Cedric straight into the cops, and immediately takes off. The bandits are left behind. Eleanor says an ambulance is coming, but the guys don't like this plan, for which she pulls them both up by their underpants. They wreck their car so they have no choice. They have to steal an ambulance, and there it is. Carriage served. Seb went to the bathroom and saw a message from supposedly Eleanor that she didn't want Adam to know about them, but he had very delicate fingers. Adam asks Eleanor to watch Seb, who goes to the bathroom in the middle of the park in the bushes and then flushes the invisible toilet, washes his hands in the sink, and uses the hand dryer, then returns to the guys. When the doctors take the grandpa who, according to them, ate a bat, the car drives away before their eyes. Chateau de Vaucresson, Badman looks at his photo with his wife and reminisces about his feelings for her. The gate is closed, but he notices a bayonet, which he wants to hook on with his hook cat, but alas the quality has not yet been finalized. So we have to do it the old-fashioned way. In the yard, he finds an eagle in a cage and a camera, from which he tries to hide. But he sees an electric panel and starts to cut the wires, one of which let the water from the flower bed right into him, so he got a short circuit and let the eagle out. In the house, he hears how Belmont comes in and from the darkness says that now he will end, but he turns out to have a surprise at home with the guys. It's Belmont's birthday, and the cowboy takes him out to change his clothes, and the two guys wonder about the quality of Cedric's costume. They ask if he signed his birthday card, which they will give him along with the eagle they hid in the garden. It cost a lot of money. Belmont returns dressed as Caesar and thanks his beloved, but it turns out to be Badman's wife. He comes to the bedroom at a loss, and he doesn't understand how she could cheat on him, and then finds a picture of them together with Belmont, but he hears the child calling for his father. He comes to the boy and convinces him that he is his father. He is deceived. Belmont is a real psychopathic killer. His wife knocks on the door, and Badman says why is she lying, because it's his son, but she thinks it's Jean-Luc, her lover. She asked him not to come back, but Belmont comes in and says Luke is in the hall. Then she thinks it's Patrice, and Badman steals the baby and throws it in the pool. He asks his son to flex his muscles and falls on top of him, but gets him out from under the water and swims to the shore. They burst into the room and Belmont notices the theft and jumps in after them, but hangs back and begins to choke. She asks for a knife sooner, and Badman presses a button and the water in the pool begins to drain. She cuts the cloak and he falls face down on the tiles. Our Badman at this time steals with his son in a Renault Logan. He tells his son that everything will be okay now and crashes into the rocks. An officer informs Cedric's father that they found him, but all that's left in the parking lot is a prototype car with new systems. Meanwhile, Eleanor hears on the radio about the kidnapping of the child. Ivan also hears about his location, and his father arrives on the scene. But Badman ditched the car and ran off with the boy. They find a certain hut in the woods. Badman asks them to stand back while he breaks down the door, and the boy is grabbed by an escaped eagle. He sees the police and hides in the barn, but accidentally turns on the lights and starts fighting with his father. His father stabs him and he moans in pain, but the knife turns out to be from a prank store, and the suit is armored. Then he knocks him out and takes off his mask, and when he sees it's his son, to hide him from the police, he throws him out the window. The police go on a further search, and the turkey is no longer under the window. He walks through the woods and Ivan aims at him, but Eleanor appears with the guys, and Ivan hides. They bring him to the set and try to prove that he's not Badman, but Cedric, and he doesn't have a son. But he doesn't believe it and pushes Eleanor, where green powder is sprinkled on her from the shelves. She shows him the script and tells him that he was in a stunt car accident. Then he asks to explain how he got a dead body in the trunk. She only proves that it's a mannequin, and gives him his phone. When he looks at the photo, all his memories appear around him. He finds a photo of his father and realizes who he was fighting. Dad is told that they found Badman at the old factory, where he had gone alone. Eleanor calls her father and says that Cedric didn't mean it. He just lost his memory when he was in the accident, but her father only cares about his reputation. So Eleanor gets angry and hangs up, and he almost flies through a red light. A policeman crashes into him from behind, and the armchair mechanism begins to work to romantic music, and then the driver's alarms go on. Cedric can't believe that he committed all these crimes for nothing, and Seb confesses his love to Eleonora, but she only helps him sit on his splits. When he gets up, he gets angry and doesn't understand what she wants from him, first texting and then treating him like this. She says she doesn't even have his number, and Adam admits that it was him, and the breasts he threw off were not Eleonora's, but his mother's. She decides it's time for him to do the splits too. Ivan shows up demanding his money and pulls out a gun, but Badman grabs it with his hook and throws it into the vent, and it falls into the case with the muzzle, and then the gun is taken away by the actor. Tom Cruise is informed at this time that they are ready to shoot. Ivan says he will destroy them with just a snap of his fingers, and he has like infinity stones in his glove. Badman takes the hammer to the sound of thunder. Adam takes the lid of the trash can and turns into a fake Captain America, and Seb into an Iron Man. Their team is ready for battle. The heroic run begins. Adam is about to throw his shield, but Cedric's hammerhead flies off, right into Adam's face and knocks his teeth out. The shield arrives at Eleanor, and she pulls the lever that launches the sacks, and from their impact Seb begins to fly like a real Iron Man. And he lands in a box of pyrotechnics. The Godfather presents a restored Notre Dame, and fireworks come flying into it, and it lights up again. Cedric fights Ivan as he breaks the styrofoam poles. One piece lands on a lamp, and projects a bat symbol behind Cedric. When he attacks Ivan, he grabs him and begins to strangle him, then throws him into a deep hole, but it turns out to be a trampoline. The police say they found him in the warehouses, and his father is already preparing to be disgraced. When they remove his mask, there is Ivan and a note, a gift from a turkey. The police say they don't know who it is, but he deserves a medal, calling the turkey a hero. The vigilante team watches from the sidelines as the criminal is taken away, and Seb gives Adam a coin from the Tooth Fairy. Cedric says he still has someone to visit, and Seb thinks an eagle with a boy is flying by, so he throws the pills away. He comes to Lore and introduces himself as Cedric, then Johnny, and finally Superman's friend. When he goes inside, he sees a dog who is happy to see him and a flower from his memories. And there's a picture of him and Lore hanging on the wall, and she shows up behind him and tells him that that poor family's boyfriend found him on Facebook and saw that he hadn't removed his family status. He texted her that Cedric had severe amnesia, but when she arrived he was already gone. She called the hospital and was told to take him to the hospital, but not to say anything because he would have experienced severe emotional shock. She was sad that he didn't recognize her and forgot her, but they were finally kissing normally, not like the last time. There's news on TV of Tom Cruise being shot in the buttock, Belmont's son being found on the balcony of a building, an undocumented foreigner wanting to help him but snapping and being returned to his home country tomorrow. On Badman's pre-show, all the people know him as the thug in the suit. The producer wants to thank someone without whom this film would not have happened. Belmont thanks her, but she hands the microphone to Cedric. He thanks his father for his hard work and asks him to stand up to be applauded by the audience, but the producer takes the microphone away saying that they didn't come here to honor some grandfather and wishes all a pleasant viewing experience. And Cedric has 2 dreams come true. His father says he's proud of him. And the pre-show begins, in which Batman finds a family and fights the clown, but in the closet turns up the very vacuum cleaner that helps Batman defeat the villain.
Какой он мощный!
Не зря стал лидером на рынке.